Well, welcome everyone. We're so excited to have you. Like I said, we'll introduce ourselves, but it's exciting to have each of you today virtually and learning how to pro tip market yourself in the virtual age. So we'll take you through this fun thing that we have set up. But just wanted to introduce ourselves. My name is Nicole Beauvais. I'm the recruiting manager for Northern California. Here with the Gallo team, we have a really cool lineup for you. I'll let Tori introduce herself next.
Hi everyone, I'm Tori. I'm the sales training and recruiting manager for Northern California. I'm really excited to be here today and kind of fill you in about our company and what we're all about, and then of course set you up for success in this virtual world that we're in.
Yeah, and hi everyone, I'm Katrin. I'm a district manager up in the Sacramento area, and I actually graduated UOP in 2018, so super stoked to be a part of the recruiting team at UOP and looking forward to getting to know you guys.
All right, so without further ado, Nicole sent that link in the chat. You can also use your phone, open up your camera and scan the QR code on the screen. That will also take you to where to sign in. That same QR code will be on the next slide. What are we covering today? So just who we are as a company. We're gonna go over our full-time opportunity, our internship program, and then of course, those tips and tricks for virtual networking, virtual interviews, and getting you prepared for an elevator pitch. So who are we? We are E&J Gallo Winery. So we're actually the largest family-owned wine company in the world. We've been around since 1933. Started with two brothers, Ernest and Julio. So they actually found a book in the Modesto Library, which is where we're headquarters, and they taught themselves everything about wine and spirits. Today we're still on our fourth generation of family-owned business, and it's still broken down. So Ernest was really in charge of that finance, marketing side of the business, and then Julia was in charge of all of the winemaking. It's still kind of broken down that way today. And then you can see on the screen it says that we're fully integrated, which kind of leads me to the next slide. You're probably thinking, what does that mean? Coming up in a second, but a little bit more just about who we are and kind of our recognition. So quite a few things that you'll see on the screen here, but Glassdoor is a really big platform that recognizes us for being best place to work, having best CEO. If you think about Glassdoor, it's kind of like a rate my professor, if you will. And our own employees can go on there and kind of rate their experience working here as an employee. But the biggest thing is that we were #1 in food and beverage, which is really exciting. And we're competing against, not competing, but other companies that were recognized as a best place to work would be like In-N-Out and Target, right? Amazon, some of these big companies. Another thing I want to highlight, so I actually just found out yesterday, we are best of the best place for veterans for 2020. So now 3 years in a row, we have gotten that award, which is really exciting. And then you can see on there, best place to work for LGBTQ equality as well. Like I said, we are the #1 in the industry. So with that being said, we own 20% of the dollar share. So when you're thinking about yourself, right, in a grocery store, you walk down the aisle and you're like, whoo, there's a lot of different products here, right? It can be really overwhelming. 20% of the market is owned by Gallo. That's a really big chunk. You can see a few other of our top competitors on this screen. So we're really trying to really hone in on our core values to stay top in the marketplace, which will kind of lead us into the next section.
Yeah, so like Tori was saying, we're a fully integrated company. And what that really means is all the outsourcing that a lot of companies do, we do it all internally. So all these different departments that you see on the screen, from the wineries and distilleries to the glass production to the marketing teams, these are all positions and marketing or departments in-house that we do internally, which is really cool. When you look at the company structure, it means a lot of room for growth in different departments. And then at our core values, when I tell people like, oh, like Nicole, like what's the company you work for? Like, what do they value in life? These are the 6 main tried and true foundational things that we're built upon, which is pretty cool. So we really emphasize that integrity piece. Like, how do you transparent and honest with each other, right? Innovation, how do we keep adapting and innovating and growing in not only our products, but also in our involvement in the world, which is pretty cool. How do we commit to each other and have those teamwork aspects in our day-to-day life and commit to excellence in everything that we do? And how do we respect one another in the workplace? And how are we humble when we're doing it? So these are all the opportunities and the missions that we really stick to here at Gallo, which is pretty proud of to say. And then, as we said, innovation is one of our key core values. Innovation is also my jam. So really we've been up to, we actually launched 119 new SKUs and brands in the year 2019, which I know feels so long ago, but it was literally last year alone. And as you can see on the slide, there might be some things you guys really notice. So really fun with the high noon seltzers. White Claw became a big thing for those who are healthier drinkers in the category. High Noon was launched by us and we partnered with Barstool for that, which was really cool. Alternative formats, we recognized that sustainability, we wanted to move away from glass for some people's lifestyles to go to beaches. So it's been really cool seeing how cans have really taken cool. That started off of a podcast because that industry has grown like crazy. Really in all these different sectors, Gallo has really grown in terms of innovation and has launched some pretty unique different arenas and partnerships, as you can see there. And then you guys may have heard of these people. Does anyone in the chat or want to come off mute and let us know if you recognize either of these two individuals and who they are? Also hint that if you don't know, the name of one of them is on the screen and would love for you to read that to us as well.
Nothing in the chat yet. You can also use your reactions if you want to put a thumbs up or a clap sign if you've seen them before.
Yes, we will wait, fam, because I love we're a very small group, and so would love to see.
Yay, a lot of thumbs up. Awesome, awesome. Thank you.
Fun. So yes, we have Post Malone, which he is a pretty big deal. They were like stoked. But yeah, so he came out with a rosé for us, a very premium. It's called Mason 9, has a really cool backstory. And then this guy on the right, this is the president for Barstool Sports. He actually has his own High Noon page now. He also rates pizzas on the sides, but he gave High Noon a 10 out of 10. So pretty cool partnership there as well. And now Katrin is going to take you guys through our product portfolio.
Yeah, for the fun part, guys, piggybacking off Nicole's Post Malone, I actually have a bottle. Shoot, I don't know if you could see it with the background, but obviously, like, love this rosé. It's really fun, and we're super stoked that we get to sponsor and be in partnership with Post Malone. And then now we just dropped a gin with Snoop Dogg as well too. So, like Nicole called out, like getting into our portfolio, and what Tori said too is, we're the #1 wine supplier like in the world, guys. That means every 1 in 4 bottles is a Gallo wine product. And fun fact is we're currently going through an acquisition with Constellation right now, where we own 20% of the market. And with this acquisition, we're gonna be owning up to 30% of the market, making 1 in 3 bottles sold every Gallo wine product. So as we get in here, like here's our grand portfolio, and this is just key callouts that maybe you guys have seen before. The biggest point here is we truly have a brand for any type of consumer, whether it's price conscious, whether they want to go luxury brands. Here we have Peter Bella to Barefoot to Edna Valley Apothic. And does anyone want to volunteer and maybe talk about one of these brands they've had, if they liked it, what they liked about it? We'll do 2 brave volunteers.
I can go if no one else wants to.
Yeah.
So I tried La Marca,
Okay.
I believe last year for my 21st birthday, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it.
Love that. Thank you. Yeah, La Marca is the #1 Prosecco in the world. You guys probably see it with all kinds of hospitality things, ads on Facebook, Pinterest. We definitely love this brand, especially when we get into bubbly season. Anyone else want to volunteer? Okay, cool.
Next slide, they'll know.
Oh yeah, let's get that next slide. Okay, so like we called out, we're the number one supplier. We also have a ton of options in the spirits category as well. I'm sure you're all familiar with New Amsterdam vodka. Peach was my go-to flavor when I was at UOP. And then like Nicole highlighted as well, we just launched High Noon last year. I'm sure you guys have all noticed that the seltzer category is the fastest growing category right now. We got in there as soon as we knew that that category was growing, and a big part of our innovation as well, making us the only real vodka, real juice seltzer on the market versus White Claw and Truly that's made out of that malt beverage. So that's kind of what our competitive edge is. Has anyone had any of these brands?
Yeah, I tried New Amsterdam and I think it's pretty good. Also the peach flavor.
Yeah, I love it. I don't know why. Maybe it was the orange with the UOP colors, but peach was definitely my go-to as well. But last thing I wanted to call out too is obviously our portfolio is super diverse. Our mission statement with Gallo is to have any type of wine or even a bottle of spirits on any table, and that's what's making us obviously the number one wine supplier and creating innovation with that.
So now diving a little bit into our culture a little bit further, we talked about some of our values. Something really important to us is giving back to the community, especially during this time, during COVID. I'm sure you're probably asking and wondering, all these different companies, how are they doing? How's the business going? For us, our business has been doing really well. But all in all, you can see a lot of different brands on the screen there that are giving back to different organizations within the wine and spirits industry. So Barefoot, the number one wine brand in the world, they give a really healthy donation to children of restaurant employees. You can see in the bottom right there, we created our own hand sanitizer, which is really exciting. Since we create spirits, we have the supplies to make our own hand sanitizer, handing out to our own internal employees, but of course within people in and around the Modesto area. But again, really important to us to stay humble, and giving back to the community is super important. And then it wouldn't be talking about our culture if we didn't talk about diversity and inclusion. Diversity and inclusion has been a really important factor for us for the past few decades, but obviously a really important conversation to have during these times as well. A few different things that we do. So we do post on a variety of different job boards to make sure that we're marketing to all types of candidates out in the market. We have 7 active employee resource groups, which I'll talk about in just a minute. We have done a lot on our own end as employees, reflecting on what we've been doing. So doing free diversity LinkedIn learnings, going through unconscious bias training. And then specifically in the last month, you can see a few different things that we have on the screen, donating to, again, multiple organizations within the diversity platform, a lot of active mentoring and having those conversations with VPs and above, and how we can make change in our organization. We just came out with a new D&I statement in the last part, which I think is really important. It says, we recognize that diversity is a journey. So yes, it's always been important to us, but we know we aren't perfect, right? We're still working on it. So with that being said, on our next slide, you'll see our employee resource groups. So these have been active starting in 2008. There are specific groups for different sectors within our employees. So you can see Gallo African American Network, Women of Wine and Spirits, La Casa, LGBTQ+, Asia Enable, and Gallo Veterans. So all of these are free to anyone to join, which is great. So even if you don't necessarily identify with that group, you can join the organization. They meet, once a quarter to twice a year, especially now during COVID. Staying connected with one another is super important. So a really great way to, one, stay educated on your, fellow employee and their background. But again, a great way to foster that unique culture that we have at Gallo as well.
Totally. Could not have said that better myself, Tori. Thank you for sharing. So now, guys, going to take you through the Sales Leadership Development Program. This is to preface a program that Katrin, myself, and Tori were all a part of. Pretty exciting. So in terms of opportunities, we just took you through a little bit of the history and the culture of our company. Now we're going to take you through our program. So what is this program that all three of us were a part of? So this is an accelerated sales program. It's really here to train and motivate highly competitive leaders in the industry to grow you to be a future director for our company in sales. So if business is something you're interested in that world, if leadership is something you want to grow in sales, this is definitely a program to really pay attention to. It's a 3-phase program for us. Each phase really teaches you something different. CEOs, kids down, everyone starts in phase 1 and grow. So in your time in phase 1, you definitely get to learn those sales, negotiation ability, and learn how to lead and get leadership skills for yourselves. And then in phase 2, you get to learn how to manage a team as a district manager, multiple opportunities, because again, like we stated, we're a fully integrated company. So we have that opportunity to hire within and go into so many different departments, which is pretty cool. So with that being said, a little bit more, I want to show you a day in the life of a sales rep. These are the final products of what we're pitching in the store. So all those brands that Katrin showed you, and we went through our portfolio of over 100 things. This is an example with that New Amsterdam. I see a couple peach there. Day in the life of what we do. So there's no cold calling in this job. I think that's really cool to call out. This is a merit-based program as well, and you're calling on stores, pre-established account, anywhere from 15 to 30. So think Rayleigh's, Safeways. I think some of these are in a Bel Air in this picture, and Save Mart. So the opportunity here is you get to pitch a concept, get creative, have fun with the marketing behind it, and really make it come to life and gatekeeper in that store, and build the product out so that customers can have an experience when they come up and buy the product. So typically, like we said, anywhere between 15 and 30 accounts in that day. You learn negotiation skills in this time. You get to analyze your own business to get results, all the while being on a team of anywhere between 5 and 10 people. And you guys are all working on goals to really grow and consult the store's businesses. So that's a really cool opportunity in this phase of the business.
Yeah, then getting into phase 2, which is the district manager, which is the role that I currently in. So basically I want to highlight, like Nicole hit on, is as a sales rep, your job is to run your territory and produce sales through your own territory, while my job now is to manage, lead, coach, and motivate and drive business through my sales reps. So ultimately, I don't have specific sales numbers that I need to hit, but I do have sales goals that I need to hit as a team. So a day in the life of my job, for example, I'll walk through what my day looks like this morning. Is I get out with one of my sales reps and I choose a training topic and a sales topic. Today, the training topic was creating a sense of urgency because it is the last day of the month. And we always have our goals based on a monthly basis and biweekly basis as well. And then the sales topic today was barefoot because we have a huge push with barefoot right now. And so today I was just out with my rep. We went to a Rayleigh's, we went to a Safeway, we built out some barefoot cases. And then I also got the opportunity to train him throughout each account on creating a sense of urgency in that store. So overall, to put into perspective, my goal is to, or my position is to train others and coach others and develop results through them. Here, oh, sorry, this is Tori.
That's okay. So after phase 2, this is what we call phase 3. So currently what Nicole's in. So after the district manager, really a lot of other opportunities still in sales, right? So you can see on there lots of different things because we're family owned. We have all these different opportunities, whether it's customer development, going into sales training, going to be a brand manager, right? Or still maybe being a sales manager in some way, shape, or form, on premise. So maybe it's restaurant, bars, hotels. So a lot of different avenues you can go down. And then of course that's us pairing with you. Hey, what's your skill set? What are you, really good at? But 2, where do we see you growing within the company as well? We want to make sure that we're finding a career for you, continuing past phase 3 as well. And then training is something we're really passionate about. So we're really well known for our training within the industry and even outside of the industry. the Gallows really kind of put together sales in the store. So therefore we had to kind of create our own training platform. So there's field training, we have online training right now during COVID, right? We do fine wine training, so really hands-on experiences to make sure that you have all the knowledge to be successful. We don't require you to have a certain major. We don't require you to have sales experience, wine knowledge. We are very confident that we can give you all those tools. And then something else that's really exciting is Gallo University. So that's an online platform that has everything you would need to know about wine, spirits, sales, etc. And that really accompanies all of the in-field and classroom training that we give you when you're new with the company.
Yeah, and then for our internship, really exciting opportunity. So for this, on a typical non-COVID year, guys, it's usually an 8-week program for us. This year, we're really proud of the fact that we were able to still conduct that, adapt and pivot. We were able to conduct a 4-week hybrid system with that, half in person, half virtual, with our interns. This is a paid internship, but really, like we mentioned, you go through each phase of this program, get to see a day in the life of each different role to really show you where your 10+ year with Gallo and where sales can take you in our company with each of the different positions. So you really get to be a sponge. It's a really awesome opportunity to see and learn from so many people in so many different departments and industries. The requirement here is because we're an alcohol company, you do need to be 21 by the time of the start of the internship. So by June 2021, really important for you to be of age and 21 years old to work with the alcohol products in the stores. But awesome opportunity for those of you that are interested in internships over the summer. It will be happening again. We're very confident we'll be hosting it, whether that be the hybrid system or in person. So definitely stay tuned for that and look to how to apply at the end of this presentation. Great, and like I said, so for next steps from there, you can apply on Handshake. I'll be putting that code at the end of this presentation for you. And what it'll look like is we're gonna have interviews virtually this year if we were selected to move forward. So those would look like 30-minute virtual interviews, a job shadow, and then the decision would be made about a month prior. We'll be sourcing candidates throughout the fall quarter for these different positions. Great. So moving on to the juicy stuff, what we're here to help you guys be successful in this virtual age with and how to stand out in the process. So take notes, guys. It's going to be a ride. Okay, so I think we can all agree at this point that the world is a little weird. This is a very common screen that I'm seeing all the time. Luckily for us, we do have virtual happy hours, which has been a really exciting part of benefit through COVID for us and staying connected. But yeah, I feel like we can all agree that Zoom has taken over our lives and this is where we're at. So with that being said, how do we network professionally and navigate in this space, right? As you can see, that point 2 of face-to-face contact, probably gonna not be as relevant in this moment. We can still do it virtually, and good news, friends, is a lot of what we've been doing already is already integrated online. So LinkedIn, definitely gonna be your best friend in this time. Most of the networking is usually done virtually anyways. When you really think about it, you are on your phone, you are on your email contacting people, right? Companies. You can research at the tip of your fingertips on Google, which is awesome. So definitely utilizing those platforms, knowing which ones to go after to land your dream jobs and careers someday is an awesome opportunity that we all have access to. So best practices when it comes to social media. I know I mentioned Google. Highly recommend doing a Google on yourself after this presentation. It is true that companies will look at this information. So definitely going online, checking out what pictures you've been tagged in, that totally shows up. Employers, again, do look at this. If you're questioning it, like, is this a great, what do I want to be represented as? Might want to ask a friend, reach back out and ask them to delete something. Keep it clean and professional, and highly recommend on social media following up and pursuing the companies you want. I think a lot of times, how do I write that great cover letter? I say, I'm a big believer in the actions that you put in can be louder than the words. So when you pursue and just even say something as simple as like, hi, I'd love to connect, that means a lot. And just taking that extra step through those different platforms, highly recommend. So again, LinkedIn, it's a great platform. It's what we're all made for. Highly recommend as well, updating that LinkedIn account, professional headshots. Thank goodness for portrait mode. You don't need that Sony or Nikon camera in this moment, but still might purchase it if you can ball out. But if you don't, iPhones are great for that thing, right? Have a friend take that picture, click of a button. So professional emails, definitely recommend. But going one step further, putting your phone number on it will save just that extra step of like, oh, it's already on there. I know how to contact you on the phone now. Great. So those are some key tips and best practices when we're in the digital age. And then getting noticed, right? So being on the other side now, coming from a student athlete like Katrin, I was an alumni of UOP, but in this moment, just to give you guys a clear vision into what we deal with, we see over 6,000 undergraduates on campus every single year. And guess what? They're all looking for their right fit and what they want to do. At the same time, we're looking for those future additions for our company, and we're looking for those quality candidates that are really going to bring value to us, right? So how do you get noticed in the space? I highly recommend taking advantage of the fact that you have so many resources virtually on campus. You have professors, you have Michelle, right? You have people that really care about you in your corner. Now, I would arguably say more than ever in your entire life, that are really here to support you getting roles that you want in careers and building that progress. So use your career center, reach out to those organizations while you have them on campus, because once they go away, you're going to have to be figuring this out on your own. So definitely recommend using those resources placed around you. And then when it comes time to like, okay, Nicole, like this all sounds good, but like, where do I start? Like, who do I reach out to? Highly recommend when you see a title that says recruiter on it, reach out to them if you're interested in the company. If you don't know even where to start, you're like, this isn't the right person, but I know I want to be in this industry, right? Or like this company culture seems cool. You can reach out to even the most smallest person and be like, hi, I'm looking to get into this department. Do you have a contact? Can you forward me or refer me? Those are great steps to people, because again, people really are trying to invest in you guys and help you succeed in the areas you want to be in. So recruiters are a great way to start. How often? Typically once after 2 weeks is like the average, I would say. Again, with that purpose, having a call to action. Don't just say, hi, that was great. If you really are interested in them, ask to schedule that phone call for 10 minutes, right? Respect their time, but definitely have an ask in that. And especially for a sales company, it's very attractive when you're trying to close that sale and have a follow-up goal. And it's like, wow, they're very professional. They're taking this in their own direction and controlling the scenario. We love that. And then what should you be putting in your profile? Leadership experience on campus, things that you're up to, shows your well-roundedness and like what you've been doing. Highly recommend adding to the resume. And brag about yourself, accomplishments. We love to see those things. So definitely recommend those as well. Here's 2 examples of a great follow-up. Both work really well. I want to highlight the one on the right. What I really like about the one that says, hi, Mike, let's do a 10-minute phone call. That's that call to action, right? Or a Zoom meeting, gave her 2 platforms. And then this is my favorite line that you can all steal from this presentation today. You're welcome for this in advance, is go on LinkedIn and research. If I had a candidate reach out to me and say, hey, Nicole, I want to learn about your 5+ year career with Gallo, right? Like that is so cool, because they took the time to look me up, and which probably took 3 minutes of clicking my name, but they went through scrolled my bio page and they were able to find that out. That stands out a lot to me, more than a typical follow-up. So do your research on people, take those extra 10 minutes. It'll make a world of a difference and feeling connected in this virtual world. So love the second follow-up, which wanted to call that out for best practices when you guys are reaching out. And then I don't know about you guys, but for those of you that are seniors, I know there's a couple on this call. If you've been in the interview process yet, pro tips, you've probably seen a lot of these basic questions that have been asked. If you haven't been, that's totally okay today too. Wanted to give you the tools to identify. The questions on the right are all things that you typically see come up in an interview at some point in your time. The worst feeling, friends, is going into a meeting or an interview and leaving and you're like, I wish I would have said that differently. And the reason being is like, I hate that feeling, but there's a moment like, oh, if I only was prepared a little bit more, I kind of stumbled through that. I have a better answer. And you never want to leave a meeting or an interview feeling that way. So recommend preparation is key, controlling what you know. And so reading through, what I say if I'm asked this, identify your strengths and weaknesses. You're in COVID, distractions are not a thing. So feel free to take a little bit of time and analyze yourself, sit with yourself. What am I good at? Where can I improve? What is my opportunity? And knowing those about yourself will definitely help prepare you to speak to those things when it's called upon in an interview and speak to those aspects. So also a few best practices for pro tips in interviews to help you guys land some awesome jobs. Always have questions prepared, friends. Really important. Again, action goes louder than words. You may tell me you're interested in a company, like my company. I'm like, love it. That's so cool. And we get to the end, I'm like, great. Do you have any questions for today? And they don't have any. And that's such a missed opportunity in my mind, because the opportunity, you can be like, yeah, like here's question 1, 2, and 3. Like, that's awesome. That shows me your actions met your words and you really are interested, right? Even if it's like, what's your favorite part of the job, or what's been your hardest day, or like, what is your favorite mission statement piece? Like, all those are great questions. It's going to lead you more insights and really showcase your interest. So I'd say minimum 3 to 5. If I was really trying to land that role, I've seen up to 25 questions and I love it. So bring on the questions. We love it. At the end, you'll get a chance to practice this today, and would love to you guys to start thinking through some things you're actually curious about learning about a company, because it really does make a difference, and have specific examples in mind. So we'll touch on this more in a little bit, but really recommend being as specific as possible when answering scenarios and painting a picture for that recruiter to see a story that you're telling.
Awesome. Yeah. And going off Nicole's comment about questions, guys, so many people have been like, hey, what's a good question to me to ask in an interview or something like that? So I'm going to tell you my go-to one real quick before we get into the STAR method. My go-to question for whatever role you are interviewing for, mine when I was interviewing for Gallo was, what are the top 3 characteristics a successful sales rep has, like is good at? And whether that can be in literally any type of role that you might be interviewing for, whether it's a sales rep position or not. And that opens up a lot of doors to even more questions after that. So hopefully you guys wrote that down. Okay, so now diving deeper into interviewing. So the STAR method. Me and Nicole are just talking about this yesterday, is we truly wish that we would have known what the STAR method was when we were interviewing with everyone we were interviewing for. So we're going to walk through it real quick. So ultimately, the STAR method stands for the situation, task, the action, and the result. And we want to paint this story for the person that's interviewing us when we are walking through our answers. So for example, we're going to be asked a question of, tell me a time where you faced adversity and what was the ultimate result. A lot of the time is the interviewee will hit on like what the adversity was, which was the situation and tasks, but they tend to forget that result. And we just want to really point out that the result is probably the most important thing in when you're interviewing with this and following the STAR method to communicate to us. We always want to find out what that result was, whether if it was a good result or not. How did you overcome, or how did you learn from that result? And that's an opportunity for you to talk about yourself even more on what you learned and how you grew from that result, whether, like we called out, it was successful or not. So yeah, getting into a couple more tips is, some basic stuff is we always want to be looking at the camera, not the screen, because we can always, like, you can tell right now I'm not looking at you guys or something like that, right? Dress the part is, like, we're doing a lot of virtual interviewing, is that's okay if you're dressed just top down, you know, like who knows what if you're wearing sweats or anything like that, but just dress the part, look professional. Ultimately, we want to know that you guys are just as serious about getting a job with Gallo or whoever it may be as we are. Prepare your surroundings. Like, we all have roommates. Maybe let your roommate know that not to turn on Netflix or blast some music in this time span, especially if you're having a very important interview. Make sure you have a professional headshot on profile. That's really specifically hitting on LinkedIn, is having that professional photo. And we always like to put a face to the name too. If you've been in contact with Tori and Nicole as well, they have a professional headshot in their signature. If that's something you guys want to do, like, the more the merrier. Practice makes perfect. Talk to yourself in the mirror when you're going over these tell me about yourself questions. Tell me a time where you face adversity, because that's ultimately how you're going to be able to walk yourself exactly through that STAR method and remind yourself how to talk about that result. And then close other programs on the computer. Who knows, maybe we'll have to share our screen if something isn't working. And I mean, avoiding any type of like, oh, maybe you have something up that you didn't want to have up or something like that. Just make sure all your programs are closed out on your computer. And then getting into virtual interviewing tips. Totally okay for you guys to have notes just to like keep on track. Like we called out, we want to make sure we're making clear eye contact, but if you want to make sure you hit this one key note, that one key result while you're interviewing, feel free to have notes and to stay on track and everything like that. Although don't rely too much on your notes, because ultimately we don't want to be reading off the screen and have it come off as you guys aren't prepared for that interview. Be sure to tweak the audio ahead of time. Always want to double check audio, video, camera, to avoid any type of awkwardness. Can you hear me? Can you hear me not? And then make sure like the interviewer is engaged, obviously, like we called out, that's eye contact, that's asking great questions. And then I always want to call out too is when you are answering like a question, not to go off on a tangent, because we always want to paint that storyline for our retail, or not for our retailers, for you guys. That's a district manager thing. And we just always want to be like completely engaged with you following that STAR method. Body language, eye contact, posture, all that good stuff, pretty basic stuff in the interview process. And then getting into how we've adapted doing virtual interviews. We've obviously been working really well with Michelle in the Career Resource Center and every type of business building, the athletic center, diversity groups. We want to get in front of you guys as much as you might want to get in front of us. So that's how we have these virtual career fairs, which is coming up on October 8th as well for EOP. Applying on Handshake will be listed below. Then virtual interviews, we're doing job shadows, virtual job shadows, and recruiting events such as coffee chats, presentations like this, and then also networking events. And then lastly, really wanted to hit on career fair takeaways that we have noticed having career fairs with other schools, and wanted to just give you guys some tips to really stand out. So one-on-one takeaways. Ultimately, the best way to stand out, whether it's one-on-one or in a group session, you guys, is type in that group chat, say, hey, my name is so-and-so, this is my LinkedIn account, put maybe the URL to your resume. Really like communicating participation and collaboration in that group chat feature is what's really gonna make you stand out, and also being on time as well. Like, love seeing that. We show up 10 to 5 minutes before these virtual presentations. So definitely being on time and even being early is a great way to stand out. Like we called out, follow-up pro-up tips, ask question, utilize the group chat feature, and show up 5 minutes early.
Totally. And just to add on to this piece too, to what Katrin is saying. So when it comes to the career fairs, right, some of you may have noticed we've done a couple at UNR and Cal now. So in one-on-ones, they last about 10 minutes long. Every minute, it goes so quickly, friends. So taking advantage of that time, we're seeing a lot of people, it can totally stand out to Katrin's point of putting in, hey, like I already put my name in the chat. Nice to meet you. I'm Nicole. I'm a student here. I'm a senior, right? This is my major. I'm really interested in the company. I added my LinkedIn URL in this chat. Like, feel free to copy and paste it after our time. It's just things that you talk about probably anyways at the end, but starting at the beginning really could be that pro tip that's like, wow, someone came prepared for this 10-minute combo, right? And I think that's a great call out to stand out in the space. And then the same with group sessions. How do you stand out in front of 50 plus people on this call, right? When people give you a second and they say, come off mic if you're interested in X, Y, and Z, or tell us something, anyone, you know, taking that silence moment. If I was a student and this was like something I'm interested in, I'd be like, hi, my name's Nicole, like nice to meet you. I guess like I would be the first one to speak, right? Because that someone about being the first, the confidence that comes with that is like something recruiters really do strongly look at. And even if you are like, hi, second or third, but the one that's willing, people that are willing to speak up and be engaged, that totally stands out in a setting where it's like everyone's muted on mic, right? I would have my camera on, I want them to see me. How do you stand out and put yourself out there? Those are great opportunities for that, as Katrin was saying. So again, we will be 5 to 10 minutes early on one-on-ones, especially. Early bird gets the worm. I know that's a cheesy line, but it really is true when it comes time to efficiently standing out, making a great impression virtually. It takes a little bit extra work, but it can totally pay off in the space as well. Great. And then from here, friends, we will be doing on Handshake. So like I said earlier, if you guys are interested in what you heard about today, you're like, yeah, Gallo people, so cool. We'd love for you to sign into Handshake. For those of you that are juniors, you're going to be 21. There's the identification code there. The titles below, those are 2 applications. For those of you that are seniors, the Senior Leadership Development Program that Katrin, Tori, and myself were a part of, this is the program there with that information. So next steps. Would love for you guys to go on Handshake and apply for those if this is something that interests you from today. And then if you guys jumped on, I know a few people jumped on later. Again, here's that QR code from the beginning. So feel free to open your camera, sign into our internal system. Even if you've met us before, every time you do this, this is a great way for us to see you in our system of, and Katrin signed into our system again. This is the third time we've seen her in year 2019. We get freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors all signing into our system. So this is a great way for us to keep track through our time together and build relationships. So definitely every time you see this QR code, pop in with us, say hi. Would love to chat. And with that being said, we have an awesome opportunity coming up October 5th for y'all to join. So this is our employee resource group, a really exciting opportunity. Over 38 schools will be attending this. Wanted to give you guys the offer as well. Like Tori mentioned earlier, all our employee resource groups are going to be discussed on this panel. It's going to be an awesome event and opportunity. If you have time and you want to learn more about this culture piece, highly recommend attending. So that QR code is scanned all throughout here if you guys want to sign in. So just want to get that on your radar. It's coming up fast. That'll actually be next Monday. So we're already in October, friends. It's crazy times, but definitely would love to see your faces on there. Just want to say thank you again. I'll stop sharing my screen now and answer any questions you guys have for anything. Would love to hear from you.
Hi, I have a question. So you were talking about the internship program or the sales representative program, and it's like 3 phases, and you gradually go into each phase in time. But do your organization really hire people for the 3rd stage directly, or just for supply chains or other programs instead of going from the 1st phase?
So most often when it's for the sales organization specifically, we always have someone start at phase 1. When it comes to different parts of our business, finance, IT, hospitality, operations, right? Most often they'll still want you to start at that entry level role so you can learn about our business, our company, everything, and then move up from there. Each department runs a little bit differently. For sales specifically, typically starting in that entry level role. For other positions in the company, it kind of depends on the department, but I definitely recommend, I'm gonna go put this on there. GalloCareers.com is in the chat. It's a great resource to go see if sales isn't your realm, all good. That's a great place to look for all of the other roles that we have for hire right now. And then the best thing would be to look at the job qualifications and see what experience they want you to have for the role.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? We'd be happy to answer anything about.
I have a question too. So first of all, thank you so much, you guys, for this presentation. It was lovely. And it's always great to like see familiar faces. One question that I do have is, can you guys describe in one word your experience with Gallo?
Ooh, one word. That's a tough one.
I would say passionate. Because, and I'll tell you why.
Yes, please.
Passionate because sales is something that I was passionate about, wanting to get a job in sales as soon as I graduated. But everyone that works for Gallo is passionate about their job, the people. I'm sure you've heard a lot from Gallo people is the reason why I work for Gallo is because of how much I love the people, and that's their passion for the wine and liquor industry as well. And then just passion every day. Sometimes it's hard getting no's or having a tough day from a buyer that isn't necessarily being the easiest person to work with, but that passion that you have for your current role is what's going to help you get through that and basically grow in that position as well. So passion overall in the job.
Thank you.
I was just gonna say I'm tied between 2, so I'm gonna cheat. I just feel like it's between like the first thing when you said that, it's excellence comes to my mind in the sense where like kind of alluding to what Katrin said, like if we were competing, everyone in this company is trying to be excellent in their craft, no matter their department. So it's really motivating. It's like running next to marathon runners. Like I'm not a runner, but like y'all are killing it. And you just have this moment where you're like, wow, like what does it take to be a Tori Berberette? Like she has a secret sauce about her, not to go off on how incredible she is as a human, but like everyone in my company I sit next and left and right to, I'm like, well, they are so excellent in different ways, and that's how they're successful and how they got into our program and company. But it's like, it motivates you internally to be like, what does it take for me to be excellent? How do I be excellent? And when I wake up today, how do I give 110%? Even if the results doesn't come yet, they see potential in me, and like that motivation is insane. To follow that, I would say my other word I thought straight up was growth. The opportunity in our company for growth. If you're looking for skills in your 20s, if you aren't looking for that 9-to-5 job that's like very controlled, I would say, where you're very comfortable, this probably isn't the program for you. Growth happens every day in every role, in every situation, personally and professionally. You're getting grown and stretched, which is incredible. But it also, to Katrin's point, you don't grow without a workout. You don't get muscles without a workout. You are growing every single day, and that takes that weight and burden, but you know you can make it to the finish line because you have these people you're working out with. Sorry, I've been like on this tangent about working out lately. In that metaphor, it's so true, because like you grow these stretch marks and you're like, dang, like I'm getting fit, like I'm strengthening in ways in the business world that I never imagined, all the while getting coached by people left and right that I'm like, who's my next coach? Because like everyone is incredible and teaching you something different. So the opportunity for growth and mindset, like I was not in sales before this, like I never did sales. I was a soccer player. Now I feel like I can pitch on Shark Tank. So it's a very cool mental capacity too for that. So those are mine.
Thank you. And Tori, do you have your word?
Oh, sorry. I would say mine would probably be dynamic, kind of going off of what Katrin and Nicole said. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I did not have any sales experience. I knew nothing about wine. So for me, it was a new dynamic coming into this industry as a whole, but then dynamic because our company is so dynamic and so multifaceted. So it's been really cool to, again, grow and develop as a business person, but then personally as well, and seeing how those skills kind of overlap with each other.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, team, I'm going to have to hop off this call. I think Nicole's going to as well. Katrin's going to stay and answer the rest of your questions. It's been really great to connect with you. We just have to hop off to a career fair. So we wish you all the best, and Katrin's going to stay on to answer any last questions.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having us. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Actually, I had a question. So
Yeah.
for the group, I know Tori touched on, it's Gallo sales, but you don't need to have a business degree necessarily for sales. So I know we have a Media X and English major, we have an engineering management major, we might have other majors on the call. So what characteristics or skills do you look for in a candidate if they are not a business major necessarily?
Yes, I love that question because like we called out, we're open to literally any type of degree. The main thing that I think we most look for is leadership skills, communication skills, and then just work ethic. Yeah, I would say like if I were to kind of going on or piggyback offing my question, if you were to ask a interviewer, like what's the top 3 skills you would want in your successful sales rep, I would say those 3 because everything's like teamwork based. And no matter what, you're always on a team and you're always being trained. And like we said, you don't have to have sales experience. You don't have to know anything about wine. Like Gallo is literally going to train you on everything. Today I have a new hire starting, and today I'm starting on day 1, walking through our full training modules of how you first start off as being a sales rep. So there goes into 10-day training, then 6-week training. And then like Tori called out, there are a couple, there was a slide that there was like fine wine tasting training. And that's when you get a little bit more down in your tenure and you're just constantly being trained. So ultimately, like I think the biggest things like Gallo, like if you were to say, oh, I work for Gallo, oh, this or that, oh, I hear the people are awesome and I hear the training program is the best. And I was kind of like, okay, like I heard that, like let's see how the training really is, like when I first started, and it is the best of the best. So like we called out, that's why we really don't need a specific degree in anything.
Awesome, thanks. And then can you share a little bit more, because I know you're a Pacific alum. I think you said you graduated 2018. So how did you get involved with Gallo Sales? Was it something like this? Was it attending a career fair? And then I think, are you in the second phase right now currently? So kind of what was, I mean, it's been 2 years since you graduated, so kind of like the timeline, if you can share, since all these students are in your shoes right now. So.
Well, I was pretty good about like attending the career fairs 100%. I'd say the main reason why I was introduced to Gallo is one of my teammates who's 2 years older than me was getting a job with Gallo, but she was actually going to work in the Southern California region. And so ultimately, like they were always a very opening like group of people when I'd be at the career fairs. And then we present all the time. Like they would come into the business building because I was a business major, and I probably saw them present like 3 times a semester. And granted, maybe it was someone different. Like every time, I always made sure to go up to introduce myself and just make sure they knew a face to the name. Especially when I was kind of that like sophomore, junior, not really making a whole lot of moves yet on like figuring out who I wanted to be with. But ultimately I would say that, I think it's awesome, especially it's kind of intimidating attending virtual stuff right now, because that like one-on-one video can be awkward, so props to like just everyone, and especially in this room that like is attending this virtual meeting right now, because that's what's really going to set like you apart now versus maybe someone that still interviews, but we maybe not have heard of them or like seen them yet. And then getting into my sales rep position. So I got offered the job with Gallo. It was winter of 2017. And so I accepted it, and then I started the next year. And I started July 30th or something like that, 2018. So Gallo was really good about like, hey, like, when do you want to start? And I was like, well, I want to take a summer off, like enjoy my time. And then I would like to start like end of summer. And they're like, okay, great. Sounds good. And so definitely like some freedom with that. And I was a sales rep over in the South Bay area. So like Santa Clara, San Jose. Had a great time down there. One of my biggest accounts was the Santa Clara University Safeway. So New Amsterdam ripped through that store. And Andre as well. And I did my time over there. I was a part of a team called Team J, met some awesome people, had a great team. And then I had the opportunity to get promoted up to Sacramento to become a district manager of the team now that's called Team A. So basically my team starts in like Fairfield, Vacaville, goes all the way down into Dixon, Davis, and then a little bit of like Citrus Heights, North Highlands, and then I come down to like Elk Grove, Galt, where I have 5 territories, so 5 people who I manage. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Any other questions anyone might have?
Katrin, I do have one in regards to like that relocation, like how you went from like South Bay area to like Northern Sac or Sacramento area. Did Gallo help you in any way with like relocating and finding like a place to be or like a place to live?
Yeah, definitely. And that's a great question, because relocatability is obviously like a huge topic, and Gallo helps me like 100% of the way. Like I got like a moving bonus, and I wasn't like, okay, you need to be here by this time, like on this day. It was definitely like, okay, like, hey, try to move into like maybe Midtown area by like in a couple weeks, because you're starting your role like September 5th. And so they gave me that idea, but like I didn't have to be in Sacramento right away to like start immediately. Like I was gonna move in with my grandma for a little bit until I found like the right comfortable place that I wanted to live. But yeah, I got a signing, or not a signing bonus, a moving bonus. They were very like lenient and helping me as far as like getting out of my rent and all that. Or yeah, because I wasn't on month to month, I was a yearly basis. So for sure very helpful and easy, smooth move.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Yes, I have one question. So you did mention that we're constantly learning, and something that like came to my attention was when we're constantly learning, are we learning about like wine tasting and how to distinguish a different wine and how to like serve it and stuff like that? Do we learn that at the beginning, or is that like constantly like learned throughout our time with you?
Yeah, that's a great question. And to highlight that is you're constantly learning that. So you'll like get into sales class, right? Right when you start, and we're gonna cover like a ton of topics in sales class. But at the end of every sales class, we get to taste like a little bit of Gallo's portfolio. So maybe it's like Chardonnay that we're tasting. So we have Edna Valley Chardonnay, Barefoot Chardonnay, and just kind of like a plethora of each Chardonnay we have in the wine category, and we walk through and learn how to taste it, whether that's looking at the color, tasting it, the smell, like all that good stuff. And that's ultimately the fun part too about sales class is, yeah, you learn about how the 4 parts to the sales presentation, like how like the retailer appeal points and what kind of buyers we pertain our sales pitches to. But then we also get to taste and like walk through kind of more of like the actual like wine stuff of it. So we are like educated and stuff like that. So when I first started, like didn't know how to sip, smell, tasting notes, all that good stuff. And then as you keep on growing with Gallo, you'll learn more like the nitty gritty with that, such as fine wine class, for example. That's when it's like, I think I took that class like 8 months in, and that's when you really like learn like food pairings, and taste even more tasting notes, like regions of where like wine comes from too. So constantly learning. It's not just like, okay, you learned this, you're done. Yeah, great question.
Thank you. I really I was just confused about like, cause I'm not really much about wine tasting.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know like, how do I start? Like, I'm not sure if it's like the texture. So it's like something I'm very interested about.
Yeah, always start with sight, smell, and then you taste it.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Anyone else? We're gonna wrap up.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
So for someone without a business degree who doesn't have any sales experience, what is the learning curve? I mean, how long does it take for that person to kind of perform the way the company wants them to perform?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And I really don't have like a true answer to as far as timeline on that, because everyone's learning curve is different, you know, like some, for example, I'll talk about one of my sales reps. Her learning curve on like the details of like programming and PowerPoint presentations and like the fine details was a lot faster than some of my other reps. But then maybe her pitching styles and her 4 parts to a sales presentation and being successful in pitches took a little longer than maybe other people. So it's really kind of, and like that's totally okay. And that's what I'm here to do is fine tune those little details to have results and success sooner rather than later. But there's no like, oh, you're not doing well, like you're done or anything. It's always like, okay, like the opportunity is this, that's what the training topic will be the next time we're out with each other. However, this is what you did great at, like in our work with on the day or something like that. So learning curve is super different for everyone, but ultimately that's how we learn, right? And that's how we grow in our professional life. You can't just be good at something right away. Like I wasn't good at sales right away. Like it was hard, like getting to crack some of these buyers. But as soon as I knew how to fine tune a couple little things, that's when I started seeing success. And that's pretty much what happens with everyone as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
you.
Is there any like contact information, or where should folks be looking to stay involved? Maybe those jobs on Handshake and then the Gallo careers page. Would that be the best way to follow up or look
Yeah.
at job opportunities?
Here, did everyone happen to get that picture of the like Handshake ID number and then just like that QR code? Okay, perfect. I'll put my contact information in this chat bar right here on LinkedIn. I'll just put my like full name, and definitely I think connecting on LinkedIn would probably be the best option. But I'm gonna also attach Nicole's email if you guys wanna like schedule a coffee chat or anything like that too. So here's my name to connect with me on LinkedIn. And then Nicole for sure is gonna probably be your number one go-to as far as coffee chats and maybe even more like presentations and that good stuff. So here's her email right here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Then I'll put Tori's name too if you guys want to connect with us on LinkedIn. Cool.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Katrin.
Thank you. I'm always glad to be back in UOP, Homegrown Tiger, all that good stuff.
Yeah, it's so nice to hear that you're an alumni. So
Yeah, I love it. Got a special place in my heart for UOP for sure.
yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks so
you.
much. All right. Thanks so much, everyone.
Bye. Thanks, guys.
Bye.